Hi, and welcome to parts 2, 3, and 4 of the January 2014 Regents exam. So I'm going to start with 28. Show that secant theta, sine theta, cotan theta equals 1 is an identity. Just make your substitution. Secant theta is 1 over cosine theta times sine theta. Leave that over 1. Cotangent is cosine theta over sine theta equals 1. Well, my cosines cancel, my sines cancel, so I have 1 equals 1. 2-point question is not going to be really hard. It's 28, okay. 29. Find the nearest tenth of a square foot the area of a rhombus that has a side of 6 feet. Okay, rhombus is like a parallelogram, remember, except all sides are congruent, so they are 6. My angle is 50. And since I have a rhombus, I have 2 of the triangle, so I don't need the 1/2 from the formula. So K equals 1/2 AB sine C. And what I'm just going to do is multiply by 2 to get rid of my 1/2. So K equals AB sine C. So it's 6 times 6 times the sine of 50. And when you use your calculator, make sure you're in degrees again, because this is the trig stuff. And 6 times 6 times the sine of 50 is going to be 27.6 to the nearest tenth of a square foot. Oops, sorry, 27.6. 26.7. All right. Next one. 30. The following is a list of individual points scored by all 12 members of Webster High School basketball team in a recent game. Okay, all. So we know that's using everybody. It's all the data. Find the interquartile range for the set of data. Interquartile range means we have to find Q1 and Q3. So Q3 is equal to Q1 is equal to, you can put this into your calculator, or you can figure it out here. We have 12, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then halfway in between here is 3.5. And then if we look here, it's 10.5. So this is 10.5 for Q3, 3.5 for Q1. So it's 10.5 minus 3.5 is equal to 7. The other way to do that is to put all the data into your calculator and have it find the Q1 and Q3, but make sure you're labeling Q1 and Q3. 31. Determine algebraically the x-coordinate of all points where the graph of x times y equals 10 and x equals, or y equals x plus 3. So all I'm going to do is substitute in x plus 3 for x, or sorry, for y, excuse me. So it's x times x plus 3 equals 10. So I have x squared plus 3x equals 10. So x squared plus 3x minus 10 equals 0. Going to factor. X plus 5 minus 2. So x equals negative 5 and x equals 2. And those are my 2 values. I don't think we have to worry about checking anything. Nope. That would be good. Okay, for 32, solve. Remember, whenever you have an absolute value, you have to solve 2 inequalities. This is a less than, so we can turn it into one compound inequality. So it'd be negative 13 less than negative 4x plus 5 less than 13. So we're going to subtract 5 everywhere. So we'll get negative 18 less than negative 4x less than 8. Divide everything by negative 4. since I'm dividing by a negative, I'm actually going to have to flip my signs. This is negative 4.5 is greater than x greater than negative 2. Sorry, this would be positive 4.5. And you know we're not allowed to leave things with the inequalities facing that way with the less than. So it's negative 2 less than x less than 4.5, just to change the order. The other way to do that, I guess, is to just separate it into two like you do the other ones. So let me just for a minute do that. If I did negative 4x plus 5 is less than 13, I would subtract 5. So negative 4x is less than 8 divided by negative 4. So x is greater than negative 2. Right. And then I would do negative 4x is plus 5 is greater than negative 13. Subtract 5. So negative 4x negative 4x is greater than negative 18 divided by negative 4. So x is less than 4.5, which is the same thing as what I have over here, just two different ways of looking at it. You still get the same answer. It's greater than negative 2, but less than negative 4, which means it's between negative 2 and, sorry, positive 4. It's between negative 2 and 4.5, and that's really all that we are looking for. All right, simplest a plus bi form. Go back to my pen here. I like better. All right, for number 33, express 4xi plus 5y I to the 8th plus 6xi cubed plus 2yi to the 4th in simplest a plus bi form. Well, I can't do anything to 4xi. I to the 8th is going to be 1 because 4 goes into 8 2 times. The remainder is 0. I to the 0 is 1. So plus 5y. I to the 3rd is negative I, so minus 6xi. And I to the 4th is equal to 1 again, so plus 2y. And if I combine like terms, I have 7y minus 2xi. And that's really all there is to that one. Thirty-four, an arithmetic sequence. The 4th term is 19, the 7th term is 31. Determine the formula for a sub n and the nth term of this sequence. All right. So, determine the formula, not and, for the nth term of the sequence. So if I have 1, 2, 3, 4 is 19, 5, 6, 7 is 31. I need to figure out, since it's arithmetic, what my common difference is. So 31 minus 19 is 12. So that means if I divide that by 2, I have 6. So 19 plus 6 is 25 plus 6 again. That would be 31. That's not going to work here. Nope. Because it's 19 plus. So divide that again. So 19 plus 3 is 22 plus 3 again is 25. Is that going to work? Nope. Oh, divided by 3 here, not by 2. So I'm adding 4. So 19 plus 4 is 23. Plus 4 again will give me 27, plus 4 again gives me 31. So this is 23, 27. So my common difference is 4. Now we have to determine the formula for the sequence. So a sub n is equal to a sub 1 plus d times n minus 1. Unfortunately, for this problem, you need to know that formula. We've been getting by without having to know that formula and being able to find the sum of things or whatever, but that's not going to work for this one. So we also have to figure out the first term, which they did not give us, so we're just going to subtract 4. So 19 minus 4 is 15. Minus 4 again is 11. Minus 4 again is 7. So I have to add 4 to everything I need. So 7 plus my common difference is 4 times n minus 1. And believe it or not, they would accept that as your answer. But we were doing this in class, so just so you know, this is also an acceptable answer. Either one works. So if you stopped here, you'd be okay. If you stop here, you'd be okay. All right, 35 on the next page. Circle O shown below has a radius of 12 centimeters. To the nearest tenth of a centimeter, determine the length of the arc X subtended by the angle 83 degrees 50 minutes. Well, it's actually not a hard problem to do because we have S equals R times theta, if you can remember that formula. But the only problem here is theta has to be in radians. So my radius is 12. I have 83 degrees 50 minutes times pi over 180 because it needs to be in radians. So at this point we just substitute into the calculator. So 83 degrees, you're going to have to use your degrees, minutes, seconds, and 50 minutes. That's under the apps button, second apps, which is your angle, times, and put parentheses over pi divided by 180. Close your parentheses. And then you have to multiply that whole thing by 12, and when you do that, you get 17.6, because that's the nearest tenth. And that's all that you need to do for that one. Next one, finally the start of part 3. Solve algebraically means that's the only method they're going to accept. No guess and check, no graphing, just algebraically. 2 sine squared x plus 5 sine x equals 3. Get it equal to 0. 2 sine squared x. All right, let's hopefully get this here. I subtracted my 3, and then I'm going to factor by grouping. So 2 times negative 3 gives me the negative 6. Factors of negative 6 that subtract to give me positive 5 are positive 6 and a negative 1. So 2 sine squared x plus 6 sine x minus 1 sine x minus 3 equals 0. Now group them, and here I can take out a 2 sine x, and I'm left with sine x plus 3, and then I'm going to factor out a negative 1, and I have sine x plus 3 equals 0. And I have sine x plus 3 and 2 sine x minus 1. So I have sine x equals -3, which we cannot have. We know we have to reject that because you have to value to -1 and +1. And here I have sine x equals 1/2. Sine is equal to 1/2 when x is equal to 30 degrees. But if we look back at the original problem, it tells us to go between 0 and 2 pi, including 0 but not including 2 pi, which means we have to put our answer in radians. So 30 degrees is pi over 6. Sine is positive in quadrant 1, so x, not theta, is equal to pi over 6. And in quadrant 2, x would be 180, which is pi. So 6 pi over 6 minus pi over 6, which is 5 pi over 6. So my two answers are pi over 6 and 5 pi over 6. All right, for number 37. Because Sam's backyard gets very little sunlight, the probability that a geranium planted there will flower is 0.28. Sam planted 5 geraniums. Determine the probability that the nearest thousandth, at least 4 geraniums will flower. So at least 4 means 4 or more. He planted 5. So N is 5, R is 4, or 5. The probability that it will grow is 0.28. So the probability that it won't grow is 0.72. All right, here we go. 5C4 times 0.28 to the 4 times 0.72 to the first plus 5C5 0.28 to the fifth times 0.72 to the 0. 5C4 is 5. 0.28 to the fourth is 0.00614656 times 0.72. That's what we have here. And then times 5 is 0.202127 616 plus 5C5 is 1, so 0.28 to the fifth power is 0.0017210,368 times 1, because anything to the 0 power is 1. So I'm going to add that to this, 0.0017210,368. So I'm going to add those. And I'm going to get 0.02384865528, and rounded to the nearest 10 thousandths is 3 decimal places, so it's 0.024. All right, we're almost there. 2 more questions. Two sides of a parallelogram measure 27 and 32. The included angle measures 48 degrees. Find the length of the longer diagonal of the parallelogram. The longer diagonal is going to be this one. This is 27. This is 32. This is 32. This is 27. The included angle measures 48. That's the 48. So 180 minus the 48 gives me 132. That goes up here. So we need to use the law of cosines. So x squared equals 27 squared plus 32 squared minus 2 times 27 times 32 times the cosine of 132. 27 squared is 729. 32 squared is 1024. 27 times 2 times 32 is minus 1728 times the cosine of 132. So 729 plus 1024 is 1753 minus 1728 times the cosine of 132. At this point, I'm going to plug it into my calculator. And I'm going to get 2,909.257688, and that's x squared. So to find x, I have to take the square root of both sides. So second square root, second answer. And I get x equals 53.93753505. And the question said to the nearest centimeter. So to the nearest whole number, x is equal to 54. All right, one more problem left. Solve algebraically. Ooh. Let's see here. This is kind of ugly. We have to use our properties of logs. Eventually we're going to have to turn this into Bend form, but this is a plus, so that means I'm going to need to multiply. So I will have the log base x plus 3 of 2x plus 3 times x plus 5 equals 2. So I actually need to FOIL in there, but I can turn it into Bend before then. Doesn't matter. So my base is x plus 3. My exponent is 2 is equal to the number, which is 2x plus 3 times x plus 5. So x plus 3 squared means write it twice. So I have x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 2x squared plus 10x plus 3x plus 15. So x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 2x squared plus 13x plus 15. Now I'm going to get it equal to 0, so I'm going to subtract everything here. So 0 equals x squared plus 7x plus my factors of 6 that add up to 7 are 6 and 1. So x equals -6, x equals -1. Now, we can't always have negatives. Going back to the original problem, if I put in -6, I'm going to get a negative base because x plus 3, and I can't have a negative base, so I have to get rid of my -6. If I put in -1, I would still have a positive base of 2, and I would get if I put in -1, I would get 1 times 4, and it would work. Everything would work out. I wouldn't get any negatives anywhere, so I'm going to reject this one, and I'm going to keep that one. All right, that's it for parts 2, 3, and 4. I hope you have learned something you didn't know already, or just reconfirmed what you do already know, and that you are ready for this test on Wednesday. Good luck, and I will see you there.